You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. I don't think we have any new callers today. It doesn't appear so. I'm scrolling pretty rapidly, but, it is what it is. Let's get started with Mr. Snacks.
Just a little silver lining, though, is that Rodgers got picked off in his first pass of the day. So my spirits are picking up a little bit.
Yeah, it's what an absolute disaster of a season. And the worst part of it is, I haven't looked recently. I don't think he was actually that terrible. I mean, he wasn't good. Don't get me wrong. That was not Rodgers of old, but there was a lot of stuff around him that wasn't going well. Where did he rank overall? He was 15th. One spot behind Jordan, tied with Brock Purdy as far as his passing grade. Overall, he's 15th as well, one spot ahead of Jordan. But, it wasn't as abysmal as it would appear. But, yeah, just a bad season on a terrible team, which is the best part about all this, right? Because I'm shocked at the amount of people right now, just recently, out of nowhere, that have started talking about how, especially like the Matt LaFleur should be fired crowd, he was carried by Rodgers. Like, there's a whole bunch of, like, Rodgers stuff coming up. I feel like the Rodgers defender crew are feeling like they've got some kind of a winning argument all of a sudden because, well, Matt LaFleur should be fired, and the only reason he was any good is because Rodgers was here, and it's like, you do understand Rodgers left, and the team improved, and Rodgers went to a team, and that team got worse. And that team was the Jets with Zach Wilson, and they got worse with Rodgers. You get that, right? How you think that's a winning argument is honestly pretty shocking to me. But anyways, yeah, it's it did what it needed to do. Right, it was very similar to when Tom Brady left. It was like, well, is it Bill Belichick or is it Brady that makes him great? And I don't mean to disparage Bill Belichick, but the Patriots went to 0, and Brady went on to win Super Bowls with the other team. So you look at it and go, yeah, Brady was kind of the thing there, I have a feeling. It was a good combo, but Brady was the thing. Rodgers leaves and goes to the Jets, and that place becomes toxic and terrible, and Green Bay is less toxic and starts winning more football games. So kind of answered all the questions for me, but obviously some people are still trying to fight the good fight out there. So yeah, best of luck to you guys out there.
Ron, it's our list again.
What's up, man?
Where that came from, out of nowhere. I guess I'm just exhausted from the game. But my last call of the evening, I don't want to keep blowing you up, but heard Matt LaFleur, he was caught off guard. That he was caught off guard that last drive we had before we kicked the field goal. Just like, so LaFleur gives the worst excuses. I'm sure a lot of it is just coach talk, and maybe he's just kicking out some lines he rehearsed.
Well, and I do think that's important because people keep highlighting that. Like, did you hear what Matt LaFleur said? He said it was all his fault. So there, it is his fault. It's like, well, he's going to say that no matter what, first of all. Well, he said this, he said that. Yeah, I don't put any stock really in any of it. Sometimes you can hear something that sounds a little substantive, or sometimes it's just the answer to a question. But a lot of this is just nonsense that he's just throwing out there. And it is annoying listening to Matt LaFleur after a loss, just like I'm sure it is with every coach, because first of all, they can't give you any answers that are going to satisfy you. And they're probably not even going to try because they're annoyed right now. And the last people they want to talk to is the media. So they act, kind of upset and bitter when you ask stupid questions about like what went wrong. Like, well, we freaking lost, Jagoff. That's what went wrong. But yeah, I don't know. Most of the comments of like, did you hear what Matt LaFleur said? I hear it and it's like, yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me.
Too, caught off guard. It just made me mad. It's like, what else do you have to do on that sideline other than be the head coach? You just need to not be caught off guard.
Yeah.
See the play clock. You see the play clock. You're probably using the play clock to determine what you do next. know what plays you're going to run. What you're telling the players. So how do you get caught off guard? I'm sure something he just said off the cuff. Didn't put a lot of thought behind it. Still, the little things like that just make loss even worse. But rather he not ever said that. He just ignored that question.
Yeah.
I'm just even more upset because it's like you were caught off guard. Play clock. Not even the play clock, the game clock. Like, all right, bro. All right. Yes. Ryan. I'm going to go to Home Depot, do stuff and do some work around the house.
Ola Home Depot, son.
Burn off some of this frustration, bro. Good one.
I like that, showing some respect to Oladapo going to Home Depot. No, I agree. I think the press conferences after a loss are terrible because, and you could say Matt LaFleur's especially bad at it. I don't know. I'm not listening to a bunch of coaches, but again, I don't like it, and I don't like the excuses. I remember, what was it? I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago when Rodgers was here. 2022 was a terrible season. We didn't make the playoffs, and it was driving me nuts that people kept asking Matt LaFleur what's wrong. And his answer was always, if I knew, we wouldn't be having that problem. And as true as that answer is, I wanted to freaking smack him in the face. You're just walking up going, you're trying to make him out to be the stupid one while you stand there and be like, I have no idea what's wrong or how to fix it. That's a problem, Matt. That's a problem, bro. Now, I don't know that that's the case now. Again, this was a very good team that has had 2 ugly losses. It's not a bad team throughout the year. There's more specific questions. And I think why are you a bad team is the wrong question from my perspective. I don't think that is a correct question to ask. But there's still a question of like, do you know what the problem is and do you know how to fix it? And I understand sometimes the answer to that question is going to be no. I mean, I see the problem. I don't know how to fix it because that guy just sucks at his job. And, we could try to teach him some technique stuff or whatever, try to get him more prepared, but we have like 5 days to make that guy go from suck to good, and I don't know exactly that we can do that. But I do understand when you lose and you want it. I mean, especially on that last play, there's no good answer to that because they just completely botched it. I don't know how their math worked out as far as what they thought was going to happen there, but they were very wrong on their clock management at the end. I'm assuming they have all this charted out and everything, so it wasn't. Maybe not, but it's kind of in this situation, what do you do? Well, how long does this take? And they went to their books and said, here's how long stuff takes, and they were very wrong. So they got to frickin' recalibrate that quick. And maybe not right now, but certainly in the off season, go back and check the books and see if there's any major errors that can cost us a game like that, because that was stupid. I mean, everybody watching, that's the other thing that's annoying is that it was kind of common sense because everybody watching thought there's too much time for this. There's too much time. I mean, everybody's focused on the safeties. I'm less concerned about the safeties as I am about the fact that you're sending all our corners to the boundary. Why are you doing that? Why are you giving them the middle of the field? It's like they invited them. They wanted them to take the middle of the field because they thought if you did, and that's a common thing. You do that when there is no time. Like they don't have timeouts and they don't have time to run up and clock it. You run that play because you have to throw to the boundary or get a touchdown, and that's it. Those are your only 2 options. In that case, you run that play. So as somebody else pointed out, I can't remember exactly who it was on social media, but the comment was it wasn't a bad play call, it was bad clock management, which might sound nitpicky, but it's ultimately true. That's the exact call that you should have made if there was like 10 less seconds on the clock. But there wasn't 10 less seconds, so it was a completely just whatever. You know what happened. Beer Cheese Benny, what's going on?
Hey Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny. It's unsettling, man.
We have so many calls still from Sunday. I wish we could move on, but there's just a billion. So
really unsettling. Maybe it's just because we had such a long streak and that ended. And especially against that Bears team. But this one really hurt me, man. It really did, dude. I don't know if that's how everybody else feels, but it's weird because normally after a Packers loss, I take all my Packers gear off and I just put up different clothes on, but still got my Packers gear on. I actually got a nice little shirt from my brother for Christmas. It says, game days are for elite, and it has Leroy Butler on it, doing the Lambeau Leap. It's pretty cool. So that's what I'm wearing. And I've got my Packers sideline hat, the 2024 sideline hat on. And that's what I'm wearing. It's really irrelevant to what I'm trying to say here.
I do love trying to follow your train of thought, Beer Cheese Benny. It is pretty entertaining. I remember you make a point, and if I don't stop and comment on it, I'm screwed because you're going to be 10 miles away by the time we get around to it. But I appreciate that we're kind of in the, let's stick with the team and focus on the future mode because I think that's where we need to be at.
Yes. I don't understand what the end of the game was. Like, why did we just not play normal defense? Like, they couldn't do anything. Caleb's so incapable. You just basically gave him a free field goal. You basically gave him a free win.
Right.
That's kind of how I saw it. I don't understand the whole playing the safety all deep like that. Like, wide open, man. That's unacceptable, man. Now, what I want to say...
And I feel really bad for Carrington. Not that anybody doesn't understand this, but the guy has been perfect, basically, for however many weeks. He has played unbelievably good football. And he shut everybody down in this Bears game. And the one play that he gives up is one where the coaches told him to give up a big play. That's crazy.
I don't know if LaFleur was trying to be lazy and just didn't care and just like, whatever, like, we'll just get through this game, try to get through this game. Maybe he is saving stuff, but kind of having a hard time believing that's true, honestly. This was incompetent, man. Very incompetent. And Packers are going to have to prove us wrong that this was just, them being bad, because that's what it looked like, man. They're going to have to prove it in Philly. Hopefully Jalen Hurts is rusty. Everybody is just kind of rusty, and I don't know, man. Love, maybe he's all right, maybe he's not, but even with Willis, man, we still can't do it because our guys, all they got to do is put man coverage on them, and then we can't pass anybody, and then quarterback sits back in the pocket too long. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's not looking good. It really is not, man. But regardless, happy that the regular season over. We had a great regular season, to be honest with you. But it's not looking good, man. Looking really bad, man. We were pretty much the worst team in the North. Besides the Bears, we were pretty bad. It looks bad. And we have got to fix it. We've got to clean it up, man. So let's see how bad we do against Philly. And if we don't, then they proved us all wrong. But if they do, then we're all right. So whatever, we're in the playoffs, so anything can go. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks bad. I mean, you want to get hot at the right time. And the Packers have had two of their worst games, arguably. I mean, whatever. This last one against the Bears clearly was one of their worst, but arguably two of their worst games in the final two games of the season. That is the opposite of getting hot at the right time. It's like they peaked a little too early, and they only had, 4 or 5 games in them of good play. And even that, you still lost to Detroit at your best when you were playing your best football. So, playing your best just gives you a chance. Playing your worst is like we should just, like I said, forfeit our seed. So, we know what it is. We know exactly what needs to happen. The good Green Bay Packers need to show up, and then they have a chance. They have a legitimate chance to beat these teams. They have a better chance to beat Detroit than they did last time based on all the injuries that they've had and whatnot. I think they have a good chance of beating Minnesota if they don't play terribly like they did because, again, they played poorly and only lost by 2 points. And Minnesota just got freaking embarrassed, and Sam Darnold hasn't had a good game via PFF in 5 weeks, so there's definitely a chance. And Philly, likewise. I mean, Philly's a scary team. Their trenches are ridiculous. Defensive line, offensive line. I haven't done a full overview, but I just glanced at that, and it's freaking scary. So, I mean, yeah, you got to step up in a pretty major way. And again, even that, you got a chance because the reality is this year is full of some of the most dominant teams. We'll get into that tomorrow. Most seasons, there is, I think it's most seasons have 0 14-win teams. 0. Pretty much all the rest, there are one team that is 14 or more wins. You have Kansas City, Philly, Detroit, and Minnesota. You have 4 this year. You have 3 in the NFC and 2 of them in our division. So I don't want to understate how unbelievably difficult this season has been for especially, you could say, the Packers and the Bears. And especially anybody that played, the 2 or more or 3 or 4, however many of these teams, again, the Packers, I don't know if the Bears played the Eagles, but the fact that there are 4 teams and we played 3 of them and we played them 5 different times, it's beyond unprecedented. So that's why I say even if we play at our best, we have a legitimate chance, but that's all it is a chance. Because this is a tough, tough, tough year. And I'm sure Packer fans, the last thing they want to do is admit that Philly is that good, especially that Detroit is that good, that Minnesota is that good because of the hatred and sort of that feeling like they're little brothers. But, I mean, what they are doing is not just unprecedented for their franchises, it's pretty unprecedented, period. I mean, if the Packers had 14 wins right now, there's only a handful of times we've reached that. Just a couple. So it would be pretty wild for us, too. It's being understated how unbelievably good some of these teams are. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan Kyle again here. Letting this game set in a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of a quick healer, though. I mean, other than the big issues I really heard, I don't ultimately really care. I mean, I care about the loss, but it doesn't really matter. It matters, but it doesn't matter. It was weird.
Yep.
If you haven't heard McKinney's post-game press conference, though, man, he just sums it up so well. I'm not even going to try and go through what he says, but that is 100% spot on with what I think about the game. So maybe you can play a snippet of that.
I didn't listen to it.
You know what kills me more than anything about this game, though? It's not even that the Bears won. It's that, man, they were such cowards, right? Man, that 2-pointer, right? You go for it, which is no doubt the right thing to do. Try to go up 2. If you don't get it, you're up 7. Big deal. LaFleur at home's most likely he's going for 1 for the tie. So it's house money. And then we get the penalty, which I'm sorry. Maybe I don't know. I paused my TV. I'm sorry. Where is the holding there anyway? I have no idea. I don't understand. The refs had a rough freaking day too. Mm-hmm. But then they inexplicably, instead of going for it again, they kick it. What a bunch of cowards.
I know.
Holy crap.
That was absolutely shocking. I mean, I couldn't believe that. We got a good stop and there was a penalty, and everybody knew they were about to get 2 points. Everybody. Every Packers fan, Bears fan, everybody watching that game said, well, they're getting 2 now. It's just if for no other reason, just the momentum, karma, whatever you want to call it, it's just, it's coming. And that coach, I mean, coward is the right word, because he saw that 2-point fail and it scared the crap out of him, and he had instant regrets for doing it, and immediately said, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm not making that mistake again. It was all fear. That's all it was.
You'd love to see the NFL gods punish them for their cowardice. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
And I was wondering there down the stretch, man, is that just mind-boggling decision going to punish the Bears? Because, I mean, 9 times out of 10, man, you thumb your nose at the ghosts of Hallis and Lombardi or whatever you believe, and it comes to bite you. And to me, that was what really killed me. Is just they made some really stupid mistakes. I guess, obviously we made a ton too, but man, that was just the most cowardice I've ever seen on a freaking field, man. Mm-hmm. Wow. They got a little bit scared. So I guess we better kick it. What? Dude, you got 4 wins. You got nothing to play for.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a team you haven't beaten 11 games. What a bunch of cowards. And I just wish it would have punished them, because they definitely deserved it after that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't to be. But anyway, talk to you.
No, that's a good point. And, it just felt like everything was going our direction. I mean, obviously it was a terrible game, but you look at the end of that, there's that you pointed out, which is absolutely true. The Packers needed to come up with a stop. They end up getting a turnover, which is incredible, right? You get the points, great. And then, a beautiful 55-yard kick or whatever it was in terrible weather for our kicker. I mean, you can just feel it. The stars are aligning. Everything is perfect. And then you look at it and it's this is the Chicago Bears team that always gives it away. And they're just about to do it again. And Caleb, their ability to drive down and score points is 0. And honestly, the Packers probably did enough if it wasn't for just a completely stupid call, which is the reason the Bears constantly lose those, is because of time mismanagement and everything else. And the Packers took a page out of the Bears' book and just gave them that win, and it shouldn't have happened. It was like the football gods, as you said, have decided the Packers are going to win, and the Packers refused to let them. And it just mind-boggling.
Yeah, Ryan, this is Bill in South Carolina.
What's up?
And don't really have a lot of words for what was watched today against the Bears. It's like a nightmare or something, and waiting to wake up. But anyhow, like I've been saying for a long time, LaFleur is a great offensive coordinator. But something happens with his brain when the bullets start flying. When there's a big pressure situation at the end of an important game, he just always seems to always happen to make the wrong, unexplainable decisions. But
well, I haven't looked into that, so I don't know. I would say that I strongly doubt it based on our record that we give the game away at the end. I'm assuming that's mostly recency bias, but I don't know. I don't even know how I would look into that, to be honest. I know there are people that track decision making. I haven't really looked into how they do that. I know Matt LaFleur doesn't rank super high, but I know he's not low. It's like top 10 or something. So I don't really know. I don't know how to corroborate that. That isn't my impression. And the other, first of all, our record is very good. So, if you make the game losing decision at the end, then, obviously, plus we're a second half team that comes back in the end. So that would be surprising as well. And then the third reason is because I don't remember really ever having these conversations. And so it's kind of a weird thing when we start talking about something for the first time, and then with that conversation comes, this happens all the time, and I'm sitting here going, I don't think so. I don't remember it. We've never talked about it on the show before, really. Maybe here and there, but that's literally everybody is here and there. We love Christian Watson, but there's the injuries and there's the drops, but you still like the guy. You don't say, well, we got to do something. We got to get rid of this guy. Everybody makes mistakes, right? It's I don't know. Again, that's just my perception. I don't recall this being as big of a thing as people are now saying that it has been.
It is what it is. Very weird game today. Like it was weird because we were playing like we didn't really care about winning, even though playing the Eagles and on the road in that crazy place, even when we're really good and they're not that good, is a hard place to play. You think that would be paramount to not go there. Mm-hmm. And the same with the Washington Commanders, I think. Yeah, Commanders. They were playing like they really didn't care about winning either, no. Even though they had the same kind of situation. But they pulled it out, and we didn't, and we're just going to have to deal with it. And going to Philly, of course, confidence level is probably at an all-time low right now.
I would agree.
So expectations are not high at all. And we'll just watch the game and root for the Packers like always, and hope that we can play a really clean game, which would go against what we've been mostly doing. Again, hate to say it, but it's on the coaching, even though the players make the mistakes still. Anyhow, all right, Ryan. Well, hang in there, Packer fans, and always go Pack go, and let's go get them later.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, there's every team has a wide range as far as their best games and their worst games, and you never know where in that range they're going to fall. But you still have to look at it rationally from a standpoint of what is most likely. And, when your team has really started to rapidly decline at the very end of the season, it doesn't automatically mean they're going to be bad in the postseason, but it certainly does not help my feelings about how this is all going to go. I mean, it's similar to the Caleb Williams discussion. Caleb Williams hasn't been very good. Bears fans, he's obviously going to be good. He's obviously, and it's like, look, coming into the season, you have a certain expectation of how good he's going to be. Whatever that expectation is, whatever percentage we're talking about that he's going to be some kind of superstar in the NFL, it was a certain thing, and after this year, it went down. It just did. It went down. It doesn't mean he's not going to be great. It just means whatever, if he had like a 60% chance, let's say, based on where he's drafted and his expectation, whatever, call it 70%. For me, I'm at least down to 50-50 on Caleb. At least. So it's similar with the Packers where, there is an expectation, which is low. What is their chance of making it? I don't know, call it 7%. Even when they're playing well, call it, 7 makes about sense. We're probably drifting below 5%, which isn't that big of a drop. But the point is, we're trending in the wrong direction as far as confidence level, and rightly so.
Hey, buddy, Kyle again. You'll probably get to this, Monday or Tuesday, but one question. I've been scouring the web here. I'm unable to see if Sean Ryan ended up getting his bonus. I was kind of curious about that.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I just saw the line. Vegas released the line at 3.5. Packers 3.5 underdogs to the Eagles. So, hey,
I think we're up to 5 now, and I think a lot of that had to do with Jalen Hurts. I think it's becoming more apparent that he's going to play, and so we're starting to see more of a real line emerge. And it's last I looked was 5. We'll see if it continues to drift.
I don't know. I would have thought it would have been more. You know what I mean? So, not that I want to lose by 3.5, but I guess it's not just me looking at the Eagles and the Packers and thinking it's.
It's funny. Sean Ryan played 65 snaps. Wasn't that the exact number that he needed? I don't feel like looking it up right now, but I'm pretty sure it was 64-65 is like the exact number that he needed. And it is the 4th most amount of snaps that he's played. So I think he got his bonus, which is crazy.
A foregone conclusion, I guess is what I'm saying. There are some definite factors in this game that make it a little less cut and dry than probably the majority of the calls that are going to be coming in here. No, I'd still put it at less than 50-50, but sure. It's just going to come down. Basically, if Love shows up, man, I think they win.
I agree.
If he doesn't, we don't, right? Yeah, I think you're right when you talked about it this week. I think that really, there's a lot of other factors, but that's probably at the end of the day going to be, that and turnovers.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of the thing. The X factor will be, does Hurts show up? Because he's been hella streaky too.
Sure.
And with the blow up that him and his receivers had this year and him not playing for a month, I'm thinking the odds makers are looking at it and thinking, that's not a sure thing either. Like, both of these teams have had some consistency issues, albeit the Packers more, but they both have had consistency issues this year. So anyway, thanks, bud.
Yeah, it is everybody, and I want to, not discredit how bad the Packers have been the last 2 games. That still is a thing, but I also don't want to give too much credit to everybody else, which I think we do. You look at them, it's like, oh, the Eagles, I know them, they're scary. They got a big record, they win, but we see highlights. We see highlights. That's usually when you see other teams is their highlights. Unless they're a bad team, they might show some of the lowlights, but you see, top players making big plays, and it's scary. We don't necessarily, I say we as a maybe some of you watch every single snap of every single game, but we don't necessarily see the other teams and their struggles. And even if they are struggling, we don't view it as critically as we view the Packers because, I said, when another team doesn't get a first down, it's just football. It's like, okay, whatever, they're punting. It's not a big deal. When the Packers don't, it's like, I can't believe this freaking team. You can't block. Right? So, no, it's true. There's a lot of issues. Somebody had posted on social media as well. Another thing I saw is that, everybody's going to have issues. If you look at the NFC teams, I think with the exception maybe of the Lions, although they lost to Tampa, right? So they already lost to Tampa. Minnesota has lost to teams in the play. If you look at any of these top teams, they've already lost games to either teams that are in the playoffs that are a little lesser than them, let's call it, or just bad teams in general. So every team, it's not a matter of you win as long as you show up for really anybody. But even if it is, there's a serious question of, are you going to show up? And we all know the postseason is different. There's a lot of teams who have a bad reputation in the postseason. We don't really know what the Lions' reputation is. They got there once last year. They won a couple games against some of the lesser competition and then lost to the 49ers. I think they're a better team this year. But we got to see. I don't know. I I don't really have a beat on it yet. We got to see how these teams perform, and there's probably going to be some crazy stuff that ends up happening, especially this year, because usually, the 1, 2, 3, 4 seed are the good teams. The wild cards are kind of and a lot of the wild card teams end up losing. But this year, some good wild card teams, right? Minnesota, Green Bay, and Washington are pretty serious and possibly better than some of the other teams. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of relatively close teams. I wouldn't put anybody, like I said, Tampa Bay, you can try to knock them if you want, but Baker's playing better than just about any quarterback in football right now. So it's hard to really put a beat on anybody. Sam Darnold has been in a little bit of a slide, but the Vikings are scarier than hell. So never know. But just show up, man. That's it. Show up and try to play clean football across the board. I mean, again, I put the onus on Jordan because he's the most important player. He's the most valuable player for a reason. And when he plays good, it does more good for the team. And when he plays poorly, it does more damage to the team than any other position by tenfold. But it's everybody. I mean, Jaden Reed fumbling, Josh Jacobs fumbling. That's massive. In a playoff game, that'll cost you the game. Christian Watson dropping. I mean, I don't know that was the biggest play in the world because, again, it wasn't going to end up being a first down or whatever, but it all matters. And we just got to see this team start playing with, honestly, we call it mistakes. It feels like heart. It just feels like heart. I feel like Jordan's playing scared, and the rest of these guys are going through the motions. And hopefully something awakens in them once they're in the postseason. Maybe once they got it locked up, they started taking their foot off the gas. I don't know. But now is the time to wake up, and they better do it, and they better do it fast. Because this is not the NBA. This is not the MLB. You lose, you're done. So frickin' wake up. Like now.
Hey Ryan, Bear Chief Benny. I'm on my way to get some ice cream to feel better about losing to the Bears. It is what it is, man.
I love that. It's like your mom taking you out after something sad, your pet dies, and you're like, well, let's go get some ice cream or something, just feeling bad. But now that you're an adult, you have to do it for yourself. Like, come on, me, let's go get some ice cream. Feel better about today.
But, let's just say, dude, I feel like we kind of played a game in which we thought we could just go in there and do whatever.
Yes.
And beat the Bears, thinking, they're just the Bears, whatever. They didn't take it serious, man.
Right, I agree.
And if that's the case, whatever. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's annoying. So hopefully...
I mean, yeah, it's frustrating, it's annoying, it's kind of unacceptable. The only good thing about it, I say kind of, people can be pissed at that, it's unacceptable. The only thing that's, I would say, is encouraging about it is the simple fact that you would assume that that's not how they're going to play in the playoffs. So you can kind of in your mind discredit that or discard that a little bit. But yeah, you still have to sit there with a bad taste in your mouth about the heck are we doing? Like if you didn't want to try, don't put your starters in. If you're going to put your starters in, go win the freaking game. Like we got to pick a path here because we had two big injuries. Our quarterback and I'm going to call it number one wide receiver, got hurt in that game. Our receiver is done for a year. So I hope it was freaking worth it.
You just hope. I mean, I've been saying for the last few weeks that LaFleur's kind of saving some stuff for the playoffs, but how true could that even be now? But I don't know. It seems like we just don't have the personnel defensively to do anything. Rashawn Gary, he's on the field way too much, but you pay him, so you have to play him. And I
would disagree. I don't think Rashawn's on the field enough. Maybe they don't have as high of an opinion of him, or maybe it's just the way they do it. Joe Barry was the same way. They got these guys on a pitch count, and I have to assume it's a Matt LaFleur thing because, again, it's transferred perfectly from one to the other. I think the plan generally is to keep these guys fresh so that down the stretch you can unleash the Rashawn Gary and whoever your number two is, used to be Preston or Zadarius or whatever. But it's aggravating when you look at all the other top pass rushers, they don't come off the field. They almost never, they play like every single defensive snap. And we got our guys doing 60-40 stuff. So, I'm not going to pretend Rashawn has had a banner year necessarily, but he's been our best pass rusher for sure. And I think more snaps could end up helping. Maybe it would hurt. I don't know. But that has been a frustration for me is the really heavy rotation. And if we actually had, elite pass rushers, which I feel bad saying that about Rashawn, but maybe next year. I don't know. I would really hope that we don't do this. Like, for example, there's speculation the Packers could go after Myles Garrett, that he's maybe not even looking to return. And, of course, I'd be interested in Myles Garrett. It'd be a fever pitch. Everybody would want him, but let's just say we got him. Great. You put him on the field 60% of the time, and I'm walking. You had better not take that guy off the freaking field, period.
And corners aren't it. Christian Watson always hurt. And another thing is I don't get why people want T. Higgins. Like, you're basically getting the same thing. But we can talk about that later in the week. But
yeah, that was another point that I had brought up. Like, I'm okay. I like the T. Higgins thing. There might be better options, but I think it's just a good fit. But you're right. As far as the injuries, I mean, if you're complaining about Watson's injury history, you don't want T. Higgins. But again, a lot of people, they don't know. They don't see the negative. They just see the positive in T. Higgins, and everybody else becomes glorified and perfect. And our guys are all like hurt all the time and terrible and this, that, or the other. It's like, no, that dude has a serious injury issue. He really does.
Always talk about, like, oh, Packers need to get T. Higgins. Like, okay, well, then you're basically going to get the same thing as Christian Watson, where he never plays. He's always hurt. So I don't know what you're talking about there. And then, you know, I don't know. My team is still in it, though. Our team is still in the playoffs, so I'm not going to sit here and whine. And I'm tired of the fans who are telling everybody, like, that they shouldn't be positive or whatever. Like, at least we get another game. We get another week of either misery or another time well spent where we get to see our team win. And you know what? I'll take it, man. But I'm going to get this ice cream.
Yeah, dude, get you some ice cream,
I'm going to forget about the Bears. Oh, well, that was their Super Bowl. And we have a real Super Bowl to focus on, which we still could win, by the way. I think Packer fans are forgetting that we can still freaking win a Super Bowl.
That is true. I mean, this is a very exciting time. I mean, this is the Packers' attempt at a path to the Super Bowl. I understand it feels unlikely, but freaking get excited about it. Give yourself a little what if. I mean, they might lose this week, and then you never gave yourself a what if. Give yourself a what if this week. Just do it.
We can still freaking do something. Everybody keeps acting like we just got freaking eliminated from the whole season. You know, our season's over, which is pathetic. But I heard that players in the locker room have some strong words for each other, so hopefully they'll light a fire under their ass for losing this game. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they're all pissed off and playing pissed off, and everybody has a pissed off game against the Eagles and just goes crazy. And hopefully Jordan Love freaking goes crazy and he's not hurt. And hopefully our defense gets a bunch of sacks and Saquon Barkley gets murdered.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
So anyways, go back go.
Yeah, all right. Saquon Barkley, another very often injured person that, of course, is healthy this year. Just to freaking rub it in our face. Oh, Saquon was a better decision than Josh Jacobs. Like, no, it's not, because Josh Jacobs actually has had a better career. He's graded out better, and he's got a lesser injury history. And then he goes to the Eagles with the greatest offensive line in the world, and he freaking just goes off and doesn't get hurt, and it's just stupid. Told you so. Okay, great. Yeah, you win. Congratulations, stupid. Yeah, dude, just get excited. Go ahead and allow yourself a little joy in your life. You know what I mean?
Right. How's it going, man?
Oh,
You're getting a lot of positive calls, I bet, today. Huh? A lot of positivity.
We're doing all right. We're getting there. We're getting through
coming
it.
from all the phone lines. Oh, this one, I don't know. This one's just something different about this one. I can't quite put my finger on it, but one thing I was just thinking is, like, Thursday morning I woke up and, like, yeah, it sucks we lost the Vikings, but whatever. And now I'm sitting here right after this game and I'm thinking, you know, there's not just a non-zero chance, but there's like a high single-digit chance. I don't know how you handicap it, that, you know, we don't, depending on this injury, I don't want to speculate, but like, that looked like when Jordy went down, when Watson went down, you know. Mm-hmm. That's an ACL. You know, there's a chance we don't see Jair or Watson play for this team again, you know.
Right.
And that is just like, I mean, it hurts my heart, man. I can't imagine what they feel like and their family feel like and their, you know, their teammates. It's just like gut Punch City.
Yeah, that's
I was really pissed off during the game, and I'm still really pissed off. Here you've got Dobbs, you've already got him out of the game. You got Jacobs already out of the game, and you decide you're going to put Watson in for some throwaway snaps, and he blows his ACL. That was the kind of dumb we saw all over this game, you know. And LaFleur, I mean, again, I don't want to be overly critical because it's so close to the game, you know, and blame the coach, but this, without benefit of looking at any film or listening to the discourse, sure seems like he made some really devastating decisions today, but maybe I'm off. However, there is no time for sorrow right now, because unlike the Bears, who's nobody's going to talk about that. Well, they'll probably talk about this victory forever, but let's be real. Nobody else is going to talk about it past about tomorrow at noon. So, yeah, thanks, Chicago. We'll see you later. I do have to ask you a very serious question, though, which is a little frustrating to me.
Okay.
What do we need to do to get Malik Heath more opportunities? Because I'm sick of guys getting playing time that aren't making plays, and then the guys out there catching every damn ball that comes anywhere near them are relegated to, like, fifth string. Dude, Heath was a monster in really, really adverse conditions, made some crazy catches. Get him out there, man. I mean, meanwhile, you got Reed. He made up for it with a catch, but that fumble was devastating. Like, let's get guys on the field that are going to make plays right now, because we need them big time. We need them. You know what I'm saying? And he earned the playing time today. He earned it. And if he doesn't get it, I'm going to be so pissed off, because I don't know what else the guy's supposed to do. You know what I mean?
So let me give you just my honest opinion based on having watched all the passing plays in that game, and you've probably heard part of it. We have a very different perspective watching it on TV. We're seeing nobody's open. Christian Watson dropped it. Jaden Reed fumbled. Nobody's open. Malik makes a heroic catch. Like, and he does that all the time, and it just feels good. That one catch he makes every game, and he'd die for that football. And that we love that level of heart because we're missing it everywhere else, and I get that. Here are my two thoughts. Number one, the idea that nobody's open. It feels that way when he doesn't throw it is wrong. Somebody is open on almost every single play. There's always an option, usually a pretty deep option in that last game, and the ball just didn't get there. Number two, it was never Malik Heath. Now, you know, maybe it's because they draw it up for this, that, or the other, but, you know, it's for a reason, right? Jaden Reed and Musgrave and Watson and Dobbs and whoever else, these guys have certain skill sets that are more adept at, Matt LaFleur's plan. When you're putting it together, we're going to put this guy here, this guy here, this guy here. Who do you want to run that route? Malik's not going to be the guy. And I understand what you're saying, well, let's do it because he catches more, but, I just don't know. I just wish Jordan would throw to the open guy. You know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't be having these issues. Like, for example, down the stretch there, Musgrave was open like all the time, deep shot. Malik can't do that. First of all, he's not a tight end. Second of all, he doesn't have that speed. There's a lot of issues, as far as like some of the deeper routes. He doesn't have the speed to really stretch out the defense and do that, so the play would not have been successful as it was, when you got Reed and Watson running it. Or Bo for that matter. I mean, he's a speed guy that's probably going to be stepping up a lot in Watson's absence. So I like Malik. I love his heart. The other complaint was, and you probably heard it on the review that I did. One of the issues, one of the plays was a great catch. The other one was kind of a mistake, I would say, on Malik's part a little bit. He's kind of doing that thing where he's drifting back as opposed to charging and attacking the football. So I don't know. I do appreciate Malik a lot. I do. I just think we're very limited if we start putting Malik in the role of, plays that are drawn up for guys that have more talent than he does. Getting him in a position where he could actually be the guy that makes that great catch for us is probably a little harder than getting some of these other guys open. So that would be my thought. However, I think from Jordan's perspective, if you're scanning the field and you've got a couple 50-50 options, I think Malik is probably your best bet. That or Tucker. Those are the guys you probably have built trust in. And again, I respect the living hell out of Malik and what he's been doing. I appreciate that guy a lot. He just shows up. He does what he needs to do, and he's always there, just making those plays. I appreciate that. I just don't think it's going to be as simple as saying just throw to Malik, because I just don't think he's going to be open very much, and I don't think you want to really design a lot of plays around him. But, how about this? Have him run those out routes that are open every single time, because then, he'll probably just catch them, which is what's missing on those plays. Oh, boy. Yeah, so I guess that would be my thought. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We got 1265 fan.
Right.
Howdy.
1265.
Sure is.
Sorry, it sounded a little hoarse. I was at the game. Had a great time. Oh my gosh, what a great time we had. I was there with 9 people.
Was that you knocking people off the wall and screaming in their faces and whatnot?
Blast. Some people I hadn't seen in a while, which, yeah, that was, I know the game sucked. I get it. But here's the thing. I didn't care about the game before I went. I just wanted to go to the game and have fun.
Sure.
That's what we did. And I didn't even really drink because I drove. So I had 2 drinks right when we got there at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then that was it. That was all.
Had a couple since you got home, though, right? Be honest.
But yeah, screamed my butt off. Had a really good time. Oh, and about Jordan, I had just one thing about Jordan Love. So his injury was an elbow, I heard. No, I have not looked at a darn thing. I came home and loaded the car, talked to my brother for a while. We played a game of cribbage, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
So here we are. It's almost 8 o'clock. And I'm going to be getting ready to go to bed. I know it sounds early, but I'm tired. It's been a long day. I've been up since 5.
Preaching to the choir.
So I work tomorrow.
I love 8 o'clock bed.
But anyway, in regards to Jordan Love's elbow, I think it was funny bone, because when he came off, he was actually kind of tweaking at his hand. And you know how when you get hit in the funny bone, it kind of travels up your arm and kind of tingles on your hand? I think it's just a simple, maybe bruise the funny bone. That's what I think. So
yeah, when you're at the game, you don't have the benefit of the telecast where there's reviews and everybody's looking and talking and all that. That was kind of the consensus view, I think. As we were watching the game, the people doing the broadcast kind of felt that way, and it looked that way. And obviously you can see them on the sideline and they're reviewing everything. So I think, you're probably onto something there.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot else to talk about with the game, because you know what? You guys are going to break it down way, way more in detail than I ever will. Yeah. That's about all I have to say. Okay. Oh, and by the way,
yeah,
I don't care. Bring on the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't care.
Heck yeah.
People in the crowd are like, oh, so-and-so's winning and Washington's winning. Maybe we'll get the 3rd seed, or maybe we'll get I said, nah. You know what? Bring on the 17th. Bring on the Eagles, or whoever it is we're playing. Bring it on. If we got to be the best, we're going to beat the best eventually.
Right.
Right? Okay. Go.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking strictly strategy, the easier path is going to be better. We could get a Rams Super Bowl kind of thing, but I agree. I mean, especially this year, there's too many just very good teams. You're not going to skate by. You're not. So go punch Philly right in the mouth and make a statement that this is ours to win right now. And you have that opportunity, and you have the talent to do it. If you guys can, if Matt LaFleur can put together a good game plan, if you can find a way to get Jordan and that little thing that's off with the pass game, which, as I've said before, I'm convinced that's the only thing not working. Yes, and some bad calls from Matt LaFleur in that last game for sure, which I don't think is a epidemic. So I'm not super worried as much as the rest of you, but I mean, I'm watching the run game work. I'm watching the run defense, the pass defense, the special team. I mean, like every facet of the game to me I'm at least content with. And we're just missing the passing game. And that's the most lethal part of our entire team. So you take everything that's already working, you turn on the pass game, which again, I think you could narrow that down even more. I think, yes, there was a drop. Oh my Lord, it's the drops. There's one drop in a game, for crying out loud. If you can just find a way for Matt and Jordan to be on the same page, and I don't know how they got off the page because they were on the same page. Everything was in sync, and you watch just the bing, bang, boom. I saw a couple of plays. I don't remember, people just throwing highlights up. I don't remember from what, but you watch Jordan and the timing and the rhythm. He knows. I mean, he was so in sync with the offense. He was doing that thing where he would look one way and just the last second look and throw because he already knows where he's going. He knows exactly where he is, and he just turns and throws. He had a couple no-look passes because he just knew. He kept his eyes over here and threw it. I mean, he was so in sync with this offense. It was easy for him. All of a sudden, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you looking over there when the play's over here? Why are you choosing not to throw that? He's becoming Aaron Rodgers and not in a good way, and it's scaring the crap out of me. But you flip that switch, and all bets are off. That's what I will say.
Hey, Ryan, Kyle from Madison. Well, I'm going to kind of two last things here. One, I want to just comment on the Lions-Vikings game.
Sure.
And the other, a comment on the way the game ended today. And then I'm going to give up the ghost and move on to Philadelphia.
Yes.
But I guess I'll start there. What did LaFleur and Halfley did they decide hey, we're just going to keep this thing so freaking vanilla and just not try, or I don't understand. There's a lot on offense, but I guess I can give a little accident forgiveness because you're working with a backup, But for example, man, that last drive, right? First of all, can we talk about the freaking? I know it was a horse collar, but can we talk about Caleb Williams diving the 1985 Spanish soccer team? Dude touched him in the back of the jersey. He goes down like he got shot. Give me a break. But what the hell are we doing with? It's the final play, right before the kick. Man, you're just hanging Valentine out to dry there in the center of the field.
Right.
Why are we not blitzing? Just anywhere will do.
Yeah, everything was wrong. Our corners are on the boundaries. Our safeties are off the field, basically, and it's a three-man rush. I mean, it is a Packers fan's worst nightmare. Okay, here we go, three-man rush. Oh, God, no. Oh, fine. And then you look and you see the three corners lined up with their feet on the boundary, and it's oh, what are you doing?
To get to that damn quarterback. If he wants to throw it 40 yards downfield, fine. We've seen him mismanage that so many times this year. And instead, you give up, the one thing you can't give up. I mean, I guess you can't give up, a 20-yard out and out of bounds, but it just seemed like such a stupid play call. It looks like they're rushing three only, got all day. Man, just blitz him, make him throw quickly. Or let him, or let the guy just run. They ended up with only 2 seconds more than they needed, and they wouldn't have been able to get that spike off. I just don't understand. It's almost like they didn't really care about the outcome, and maybe they didn't. That's beyond frustration, man. It's just, it kills me. There's just so many better ways to play that, and they chose pretty much the one freaking way to do it, where you leave that middle open, and they can spike the ball in time. So, good job anyway.
Yep, that's about it. That was I don't know. We talked about it 1,000 times. I don't know what else to say about it. It's hard to even blame it on somebody's responsible for this. That I mean, you have so many adults, and not one of them said there's too much time. I mean, it's crazy to me.
What's going on? I'm on the firefighter. Giving a call. Got a question. So I know the Lions have great safeties, top three safeties, top one and top three.
Yeah.
So I get the safety play. But their cornerbacks are terrible. I know some Lions, fans of the Lions, diehard fans, and they even agree with it. Their cornerbacks are horrible. And
there's a weird rumor that Terrion Arnold, their first-round pick, is some stud corner. He's been awful. And, they have bad corners.
Amazing to see how they're playing. They're shutting Justin Jefferson and oh, man, I forgot the other receiver. That was a good receiver the Vikings got. Addison, they shutting them down. Like, they're not doing anything.
Yep.
And I'm trying to figure out, it's mind-boggling because I feel like we got better cornerbacks than they got, and we ain't played nowhere near as good. So I don't know if it's just because of a combination of, they got 2 good safeties versus our 1, but it's just even looking at their cornerback play in general, like they're doing a good job. It's just kind of like, you don't have to, I don't want to say you don't have to have a high draft pick for good cornerback play, but I feel like our coach is a good coach for us, so maybe it's just the type of player or something. But like, we wanted Arnold, who they drafted in the first round, and he was like the 5th worst cornerback in the league, which is kind of crazy because I know we all wanted him on our team.
Yeah.
But they got backups shutting down super starters, so it's just kind of crazy. I just thought that was weird. Anyway, Lions gonna have the number 1 seed, so that's good for them. I'm happy the Vikings got embarrassed since they beat us. So we'll see what happens, and let's try to stomp out the Eagles. So all right.
As much as I don't want to do it, you can't not give credit to their coaching staff. I think it's just great coaching is really all there is to it. They did it against us. They found a weakness in our offense and exploited it. And, we were able to, I think, rectify it by the second half, but it was just too late at that point. So I think they just do a great job of, winning with what you have. It's kind of Bill Belichick kind of a thing. It's not that he has the most elite players. He had good players, but it was just the ability to know who to take away and how, know what your weaknesses are and exploit the living hell out of it. This is a very depleted defense, and they should absolutely be able to cut through them. And we've seen the weaknesses. San Francisco did a great job, but, you got to give them credit. It's not going to be every week, which is why they're going to struggle through the entire postseason. Eventually a team's going to cut through your defense, and you're going to have to outscore them. But, it's real difficult to not just give a big round of applause to their staff, because with the players that they have left, they should not have been able to do that to Minnesota. They just shouldn't. And as much as you want to say, well, maybe Minnesota just fell apart, I don't know, dude. I saw those receivers getting pretty clamped. It wasn't like Jefferson. He had one play where it's like, oh, normally he would have caught that or something, but it was some ridiculously hard pass to catch. They had to work for everything that they got. It was tough, man.
Second part here, I'm moving off that horrible, awful Bears game. And now I'm talking about the Vikings-Lions game, which, oh, man, the whole time I'm watching, I'm just seething. I just hate these teams so much. Like, it's just my whole body vibrating with hatred. I'm like full Sith Lord now. I've completely gone to the dark side.
Yep.
Can I just say, at least it's not just us that wasn't getting the calls in Detroit. Because I hate to take the side of the Vikings because they got away with a couple things, but man, Anzalone. Are we just gonna not call anything on Detroit ever? Okay, they did finally get him for one in the fourth quarter when the game's already decided, but that's no less than like 5 times where he is just molesting receivers early and often with impunity right in front of the damn referee, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, and he's like, and it's the target of the play too. It's not like it's off on the side and the play is over here. It's like literally right in front of the guy, and it's the receiver. And it's just, I don't understand it. And then I guess we just can let Goff in the end zone throw it into the back of his freaking offensive lineman. And then everybody, I don't know what kind of dark blood magic the Lions are using here, but apparently you can get all the referees together and they all think they see something. Oh, that's not grounding. Isn't that illegal touching? I thought that's illegal touching if you have an ineligible that touches the ball first. Is that not illegal touching? Or am I crazy? Maybe I'm stupid. But that's as clear a freaking grounding safety as I've ever freaking seen. So I have no idea.
It's funny because that actually hurt him, because immediately after he threw a pick, and he's lucky that the 2 points didn't turn into 7. It actually only turned into 3, but it hurt him more that that they didn't just take a safety there, which is hilarious to me. It's just, worked out the way it should have.
And the final point on that, I think there's a couple minutes left, but they're going to lose. It does seem like the Lions are kind of the smartest kid in the room right now.
Yeah,
the way they just got them to jump off sides at the end of the game here, or like with 5 minutes left.
And again, they just look like a very well-coached team, just in terms of like they're very confident, they're very sure of what they're doing. Everybody's on the same page. Obviously they have more experience. They don't have as many young people. That's one of the negatives, one of the positives, but also one of the negatives for the Packers. There's a lot of youth. There's a lot of mistakes, but they just feel solid. And that's what I don't like about it is you watch the Lions a lot of times, again, the 49ers kind of beat the crap out of them, but a lot of times they just seem solid. And it can be intimidating when they're playing at their best.
Just almost seemed unfair. The Packers played the Lions a hell of a lot closer, the last time we played than Minnesota did. So yeah. I don't know if that's encouraging or discouraging, but I hate both these teams. And I guess if you're Detroit, I mean, maybe you don't care. I don't know if the Packers are really much of a threat. We'll see. If they do happen to get by Philadelphia in any kind of, just anyway, that's some great reward, I guess, for Detroit either. I don't know that they would necessarily love that, but they're playing pretty well. I don't know that they necessarily care. So, had it been the Vikings, maybe they don't want to see the Packers, but I don't know if the Lions really care right now. They're playing that good. So, we will see. It should be an interesting week. We got at least one more guaranteed game, so go Pack.
Yep. We will see exactly how this all plays out, I suppose. Appreciate all the calls. You guys all have a great rest of your day, night, whatever. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.